What's good, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of Full Circle. I'm your host, as always, Harmon Jr. Please feel free to find me at Harmon Jr. on all your favorite social media websites. And people, we are rolling along. We're in 2022. It's like we're at that full kickoff point, where it's like, yeah, it's New Year. New Year. We're still rocking it. Nothing too crazy is happening yet. Thank God. Because I remember at this point last year in the podcast, it was like, guess what happened, people? And guess what happened again? Guess how many real talk sessions can we have in the first month? But luckily, this has been more, evergreen stuff, the usual beats, like beginning of the year stuff. What are you looking forward to the rest of the year? I don't know what you look. So I am actually happy. It's been more evergreen and not like, well, in the list of the 10 disasters that happened in the past 3 days, which ones do I want to talk about? So it's been fun. I'm enjoying myself. And we have a new first timer. I like to keep new guests always coming on. It's the one and only Kate Sánchez. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing so damn good. And I am very happy that I did not even tell you how to say my last name correctly. And you said it correctly.
Thank you, all my Houston friends. I didn't have to prep that one. Sometimes I got to prep, I was like, no, I got this. I got this. Well, Kate, just in case the people at home don't know, who are you and what do you do?
I am Kate Sánchez. I'm editor-in-chief of But Why Though, a geek community. We are an entertainment outlet that covers video games, movies, TV, comics, books, manga, anime, literally everything. But we do it all by uplifting marginalized voices in the entertainment space. That's our main focus. That's what we do. That's why I made it. And I'm also a critic. So I do game criticism. I also do film criticism. So for film, I do all my reviews go on Rotten Tomatoes, so you can go look at my Rotten Tomatoes page and roast me for my bad taste. It's fine. I know that I like Batman and Robin. You can't hurt my soul anymore. And on the game side, I do reviews, but I've gotten into writing a lot more features. I've written features for Paste and Fanbyte mostly so far. So yeah, that's what I do.
All right, a little bit of everything, which is why you were chosen to be on this a very special episode of Full Circle, because we're going to be talking about the best places to tell stories. Is it movies? Is it video games? Is it in the written form, be it comic books, novels, graphic novels, manga, etc.? But before that, we're going to be talking about diversity. Yes, because we touch on the show, but this is going to be one of the few times we're actually going to deep dive into that topic while we're still at 2022, because we're not going to do it the rest of the year. We're just going to start the year off right. And specifically, do we need to redefine diversity, and do we need to correct ourselves when we use it? Because it has been popular over the last 2 years to say it. And I'm starting to think it may have lost its meaning. But before that, we're going to start with something fun that begins with a D also. No, not that. Shame on you. It is Disney. We'll be talking about Disney, and specifically, you remember, for those old enough to remember, and if you're not old enough, you still heard about it at least, back in the 90s, every major Disney movie ended up with a TV show, that actually wasn't bad. They were all kind of pretty good, or a game, which were also pretty good themselves, / soul crushing, depending on where you said. And Kate, I know you're a big Disney fan, only because I think just everyone is, and the people who aren't, they're just trying to be different. Yeah, I said it. You don't like Disney, you were trying to be different. I said it. No shame, come at me. But I was wondering, moving forward, what are the franchises now? We've seen a lot of new Pixar and Disney movies over the last decade or so that you would feel would just thrive as a video game, be it side-scroller or what have you, or just a weekly TV show.
Immediately, Encanto. Encanto would be an amazing video game. It doesn't even have to be in relation to the movie, but you could take the Madrigal family and you could essentially just run an open world RPG with just their little area. You can go through and each quest could just be a different, depending what person you've rolled into quests that you got to do for the day, that kind of stuff. You can expand the world. What happens if we go beyond the Encanto? What if we go beyond the mountains? I think that film itself it has such an amazing cast of characters that we don't see a lot of in the film outside of their kind of one-off showing up, that you could easily explore it in in an open world RPG, honestly. Just go through it, like either, well, I guess less of an RPG and more of just like a sandbox game. Like just have it be a sandbox. You go in, you can rotate between the different madrigals, and you can like just do things. Be strong, make it rain. Like, yeah.
Just like the old school way of gaming, like, oh man, this bean sprout. How do you make it grow?
Yes.
Where's Peppa? Yeah, you did it. I swear old school games was almost like the Nickelodeon shows where it's like, here's a problem.
Yes.
What power could you use?
Yes.
And you know, well, since we're already on Encanto, I think it would, because I think Disney Plus is actually lacking because so when I first got, the first thing I did was watch like Hercules the animated series, Aladdin the animated series, The Mermaid, and I was like, these are actually still pretty good. Probably nostalgia, but I don't care. They're still pretty good. And I was like,
no, Hercules the animated series is objectively good. The same way that movie is objectively S tier for the canon. Just
all right, you said S. I was about to say, oh, are we about to talk bad about Hercules? Because we can go ahead in the podcast right now.
No.
I was like, we can just go ahead and end it right.
You don't put together that kind of soundtrack to have any slander put on you. Right?
You know, I'm going to tell a funny story here. So I saw Hercules when I was like, I don't know, 7, 8 or whatever. And, you know, we got to introduce to the muses. And I was like, damn, man, I love the muses. Man, that's how you told stories in ancient Greek. I'm feeling this. So I get to high school and I learned about that tasteless, blandless, zero flavor at all, what the muses were originally meant to be. And I was like, get this out of here. Get this. Oh my God. This is what oh my God. No. Thank you, whoever at Disney was like, we need to fix this muse situation. like I remember watching like, you know, the muses are like, you know, these flavorless people. Take that how you will. And they're just like, oh, this is the epic. I'm like, oh, I was like, right call, Disney. I'm leaving it at that. But since we're talking about Encanto and we don't got to end the show because Hercules is, you know, S tier, I feel like it will. That's like, after seeing it, I thought of other shows, but now I'm like, Encanto will make the best Disney Plus animated series because one, everyone loves the family. Like, you know, people love Dolores. People love, basically, I'm not gonna name it. People love everyone that's not, you know, the main cast. Like everyone, like there's a Bruno stan, there's a Abuela stan. Everyone has a stan. And I feel like this show would be perfect because you get to go on adventures as, you know, everybody. Everybody gets their own adventure. There's the interpersonal conflict of the family. And, you know, and just stuff in the town.
Also, I think they were talking about being open to either do sequels or a show, like the director and stuff. I'd be down with it. Also, mainly because you gotta like take this and you gotta inject it with all that like telenovela like drama. Like you just gotta ramp up that family drama and like just go hard. And I think it would be perfect.
Oh, so this is gonna be one of the storylines. Who's the one that can shapeshift? I'm drawing a blank here. Antonio's the one with the.
Antonio is the animals.
And there's only like 2 boys in the family.
I think my brain is gonna say I don't think his name is Carlos because I don't think there was a Carlos.
Camilo.
Camilo.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Camilo.
So this is gonna be our telenovela story for one of the episodes. They're gonna think that Peppa is cheating on Felix. It's because she's been hanging out with this other dude. And at the end of the episode, it was just Camilo the whole time being some random dude for whatever thing that they were doing. And it's gonna be like, she has another man. No, it was her son. But like, it really is just like, it'll be perfect. It'll work on so many levels. Disney, I'm take that one for free. I'll let you have it. But you know, for me, the one thing that, oh man, that's gold. That's gold. But the one thing that I've been waiting for, I think a Moana video game would be like 10 out of 10. Like, you can do so much. You got like, you know, you're exploring the sea. You come across different, you know, islands and other myths. And you can have like Maui doing shape-shifty things. Yeah. And like big boss battles and just like the exploration. That's people like.
That would be really good. Right? That would work. That would work. I'm down with that. I'm definitely down with that. Let's see. What other? I actually think that I would take, actually, it would be really cool to see, if not like a series, but like short films or just something like of The Land of the Dead and Coco, like just with different people, like just with different characters there. Cause like all of the people that you're introduced to in Coco are like so charismatic and so personable. And like, I think it actually, no, I want a family sitcom of just the Theos that are like in the Land of the Dead. Like just them being eccentric as hell, like going about their Land of the Dead business. And like with Mama Imelda in the back, like what are they doing now? And like I think that would be really good.
I mean, you're right. The Land of the Dead and Co. It's literally endless possibilities. Even if you didn't follow Miguel's family, like it's literally
there's
just
so much there.
Yeah. It can just be
so
random people
there.
each time. It's just, you know.
Hell, just like give me like a 5-episode series of like Land of the Dead, Frida Kahlo, like making a new stage production. Like I'd eat that up.
You know, there's so many stories that you can have. It's like, you know, someone's, you know, about to be forgotten and they go on some adventure not to be forgotten, or, you know, people trying to sneak. It's just like, you can literally.
It's also like an amazing way to bring people, like make people more aware of like Mexican culture and like Mexican culture, like both in like Mexico and like in the US, because one of the things that I really liked about Coco that I don't know a lot of people who aren't Mexican didn't get was like a lot of Coco is an homage to like the golden age of Mexican cinema. And I think that there's a lot that you could do by taking like fun and hijinks, but also like taking like historical figures or like important figures that are give me like Selena in the Land of the Dead. Like there are so many things that you can do, like Pedro Infante, like go and explore and like get people more exposed to it. And I also think it'd be a beautiful way to, because Coco is a Mexican film, very specifically. I'm Mexican American. They're two different things. And I think that it would be a beautiful way to kind of track like the pop culture influence and the historical influence of Mexico through the years, both from Mexico proper and from like Texas and the Southwest, or like have some like lowriders and stuff like that too. Like I think that it would be a beautiful way to kind of just explore those things and do it in a setting that we're really like used to. Cause like I don't think people like understand, but like Selena is always on the ofrenda, like growing up, just because she's Selena. And I think that would be dope. Like, just, yeah.
So what you're telling me is you want like a special or like a 3-part special in the series where they're looking for someone to replace bad guy's name who I can't remember in Coco at the Sunrise
Ernesto?
Spectacular. Yes, Ernesto. And it ends up being Selena at the end.
That! Give me that.
It's like, so this is gonna happen. They don't know what's going on. Everyone's like, who's it gonna be? Because, you know, we're on this wacky adventure of like, you know, just of, you know, famous you know, Mexican singers throughout the ages. And then like the curtains close, you just hear "Como la flor."
No, you know what it is? It pans out, and like instead of having like the amphitheater the way it is, they've changed it, and it's like, oh, there's dirt on the ground, and you see like white carriage wheels, and it's like the Houston Astrodome concert all over again.
As someone from Houston, I support this message.
Oh
man, people would go wild.
Do you know how many seats they would fill with Selena? Do you know how many new subscriptions they would get if you just say Selena in a Coco themed thing? Like,
clearly, whoever owns the rights to her likeness don't care. They just want money. So
they just gave us that butt padded show on Netflix. I hate that show.
Oh, you know, I also need a TV show of Soul, only because if done right, I get it, but I hate movies and things that end on like an open-ended conclusion. And I know Soul did, and it's good. It makes sense why they did it, but I'm also like, I want to know what happened, even if he just becomes a teacher and just like, so I need it. I'm not saying the movie needs it Odell needs that. I need to know what happened. I need some type of closure. I don't want to be left wondering. or no. Soul is also perfect for a show because again, you can go to the Heaven agents. I forgot what they're called. Like the guys with the files and the little wiggly line people. They were having a fun
adventure. The hell out of that.
Yeah. Just, trying to get souls to figure out what they want to be and just little crazy antics they go on. Yeah. That
would be good.
That writes itself.
Yeah.
Disney.
Really good.
Disney. I love Marvel. It's cool, but F it. It's made its money. Give us the golden age. I mean, you already saw how good DuckTales did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I love animation. I love it to a great point. I love children's animation. I love adult animation. And I really wish that someone like Disney that has so much IP to play with would just start greenlighting animated series. Like, just give us that. Like, you can. It works. Do you know how many times I watched that dang Little Mermaid series? A lot. Do you know how in love I was with Hercules as a child because of the animated series? Very much. Like, I can't quantify it. I think that was when I started to develop a type. But like, I loved him. So like, there is a lot there. Oh, or Aladdin's dad. Like, come on, give me more of the animated series where we get more characters. And like, if anything, you're creating a fertile ground to take more of our money when like you make like whatever the hell movie sequel that totally doesn't need to happen, but I want it because I watched the animated series and I don't care if it's going directly on in Disney Plus or not.
Yeah,
animation.
It makes so much sense, and I'm sorry, like, I'm not trying to have a think piece about basic episode Marvel Cinematic Universe episode 3. Like when people are like Hawkeye episodes, I'm like, no, stop. Do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? Let's have a think piece about Hawkeye episode. Let's just talk about how Chip and Dale came back and they just running around fighting cats. That's all I need out of life, people. No, if you like Hawkeye, that's fine. Like, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying every time a new Marvel show comes out, each episode is like, join this Twitter space for the think piece of like, I'm like, for what? No, it ain't that deep. The man's depressed. He shoots arrows. Like, it's like, we have the comics. The comic, I had the same problem in manga because there was like some Demon Slayer controversy. And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, bro, Demon Slayer has been over for 4 years.
Oh, like when people found out that Uzui had like multiple wives and they were all, was it that one? Was it that controversy? Because that made me mad. Because I'm like, that man treats his wife with love.
He loves them all.
Respect. Like, how dare you slander my 7-foot tall husband?
It was
grab
that
my statue of him right now.
The new one was when Nezuko ages up and she has a revealing body.
Oh.
And I get it, but I'm also just like, bro, she can also turn herself into a baby, and so she turned herself into a grown woman, and also she's like an undead demon. I don't know, but but to me again, it's just like, bro, this happened like 4 years ago already.
Yep.
Like, I get you don't read the manga, but it's just like, bro, you really about to be feeling some type of way in like a couple of months. Like, I remember people were like, read Goku, I was so hurt. I was like, I was too. And spoiler alert, I'm sorry, the tears don't stop. They just don't.
Yeah.
Like, by the time you reach the end of Demon Slayer, you are a empty husk. I remember I was just like, I have no more tears to cry, but they still keep coming.
I can't wait for I can't wait for the Chainsaw Man anime to come out. Because y'all in for a world of pain. I've already processed it, but y'all in for some pain. Jujutsu Kaisen, every time they're like, I love this character. I was like, love them for right now.
Chainsaw them. Oh, I'm so happy I finally found a manga reader of manga that's not even has an anime yet. Because Chainsaw Man,
I was reviewing it. Like, it's so good.
It's so good, and it's so deep in ways you don't expect. Like, you're like, look, it's so simple and crazy, but yet so deep.
Sir, the way I rolled my eyes, where I was like, this boy's entire quest in life is to touch a titty. But then I'm like, you know what? I love this and I want that for him. His life has sucked so much that is literally the only dream he can have.
But he's such a pure person.
Levels of Denji, and you're just like, this is an innocent child. I must protect him. Somebody please let him French kiss you. I need this boy to experience this. It's a world of emotion. Like, it's good. Chainsaw Man is beautiful. Like,
it really is. And because like he's like the purest person out there.
He is. Like, I saw like somebody had asked me, they're like, well, do you like it? I read the premise and it's weird. It's just shonen doing shonen again. I was like, no, it's not. Read it. Read it. Like, this child is scarred and traumatized and still somehow the most wholesome and innocent being in this entire universe.
Okay, I'm going to tell you this. And people don't worry, like, because if you have no context, then what I'm about to say makes zero sense. But towards the end, when he's Chainsaw Man, and he goes in the restaurant to order a burger, that
Yep.
Just genius.
Yep.
All I'm saying is I've never wanted a villain in a series to die as much as I wanted the main villain in this series to die.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
Like, you know, it's one of those things you're like, you know, you think when certain people die because it's so nice, you're like, they're not dead. They're just gonna, they're dead. Death is real in this. This is one of those ha, like, you know, we just make fun of, oh God. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chainsaw Man, A tier. Like, I know they say a part 2 is supposed to come. I don't need it because
it's done. Like, and I think that's one of the things that, actually, it's one of the things that I hate. I preface this with, I am so incredibly happy with how much people have found the beauty of manga, outside of the fact that all of my stuff is backward. I'm very happy that everybody has fallen in love with manga and loves it. But I'm starting to become frustrated that the manga industry has realized that it can make money here because they're starting to do comic industry stuff and give us not that they haven't always given us unnecessary things, but I feel like it's picking up now. And I don't want it because some things just end. And as much as you want something to come back, I applaud them for being like, no, it's not. It's not. And because like manga is usually one of two things. You get it, it's done, and you can cry in pain for like forever. Or you have freaking Oda here who is a machine and just writes 1,000+ things over and over and over every dang week. And it will never stop. Like, One Piece will outlive the apocalypse. That is
the greatest story ever told, though. It's the same concise story. It's so good.
One Piece is my blind spot.
It's
so far that I'm too scared to jump in.
But you read manga, like watching it, I get it. Watching it would take, but when you read, it's just so good.
So that is one thing that I have actually debated, because I actually, just so that I guess if you're watching this on YouTube, my Tubi for reviews. Like, I just have it sitting on my desk. Like, I love manga. I love it. There's a lot that people aren't even reading. But I'm really thankful for the Shonen Jump app because I don't have the attention span to watch it all. But me chilling in my bed and accidentally staying up till 4 a.m. reading manga, I feel like I could probably plow through One Piece. And I know that I want to because I have seen the scene where Zoro takes his Luffy's pain. And that scene alone makes me want to know more about the story.
Well, no matter if we're talking about video games, no matter if we're talking about movies, no matter if we're talking about comics, no matter if we're talking about Marvel, no matter if we're talking about Disney, best story ever penned by a human being, and it's not even over yet.
Yeah.
I will take that to my grave. I will down that hill. And now that y'all know you read manga, I'm going to have a manga special later at some point, and we'll talk about it. We could talk about Beastars and how that ending was boo-boo, and how Haru's just a hoe. Excuse my language. She just is.
She is.
Like,
she is.
Lagosha, whatever my boy's name is, you deserve better. You deserve better.
Yeah, I'm like, so I'm very happy. The best thing about the pandemic was that I had a lot of time to build our manga and anime section at the site. So we do manga reviews, which means I have because what happened was I had fallen out of reading manga just because I didn't have time. And then when lockdown started, Beastars had just premiered on Netflix. And I couldn't wait. And I was like, I want more. And so I started reading manga again. And since then, like I have this shelf is all full, this desk is full, and I have another stack right there. And that is just what I have gotten since I moved into this house in September. Other stuff is like away because I had to move it twice, so it's in boxes still. But like the way I say that, like, manga, I don't know what it is. I used to be a comic book reader. There's something different, and we'll probably get to it at the end of the episode, but there's just something different about reading manga that like I can't quantify.
They care about their craft, and that's my personal opinion. You know, it's not like this is my take on Batman. This is like, I'm the creator of this and I care about what's going on.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
It's why GT is booty, but everything else that Akira Toriyama touched is great.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't involved in GT. Like, there's something beautiful about a creator putting their soul into something and seeing it through. Or, like, I was crushed when the author of Berserk died. Because now that story, it's never going to get picked up again. And it shouldn't be. Because that was his story. And I think that, like, I saw, like, comic people just be like, oh, well, somebody can come in and finish it. I was like, no, that's not how manga works. Like, that's not how it works. Like,
because
it is
that wouldn't be the story that was meant to be told.
Exactly. And there's almost a respect for it of like, no, this is the story and that's where it is. And I think that that's why I have a fear with how popular manga is getting, because we saw it kind of happen with anime when it's taking off. There's and taking off as in taking off in the United States, there are some release habits that have been informed by American consumption. And I worry about manga being impacted that way. I don't think it will completely, but I do think we may end up with unnecessary sequels and stuff like that. But there's just something beautiful about trusting a story to one person and that person seeing it from beginning to end.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I don't want Batman 1000 written by the 500th writer.
Exactly. You know, I gotta say this about Beastars real quick. I hate the anime in the sense that they go, what are the most impactful scenes? All right, let's throw all of those out. Every single last one. The fact that we never saw Lewis pull the gun on Tiger-san, because I can't remember his name. I'm like, that was a pivotal scene that should not have been taken out.
Or
like,
how about that we are not even up to the third arc yet, and they've already there's only one more season left of the show. One more season. There's so much, and there's so much commentary. Like, there's so much little things that happen throughout the manga that if you don't get, you're like missing out on larger pieces. Like the lamb that ends up being Legoshi's roommate. Like, her experiences of literally wanting to be eaten by a predator is actually really important to the story.
It's I don't get it. I'm gonna blame Netflix on this. I don't know how, because I'm starting to feel like any anime that is a Netflix original, I hate when they use those terms. I'm like, why do y'all call it that? Just be like, it's exclusive, a Netflix exclusive, not an original.
So it is different now because Netflix is actually buying a lot of those studios. So Beastars is a Netflix original in that they've signed contracts with Studio Orange specifically for their stuff. So Netflix funding goes into those. So that it's changing now. Before it used to be exclusive only. Now Netflix is actually commissioning. It's why Bones has gotten a lot of work from them, Orange specifically, and then Mappa as well, which Amazon almost had an exclusive 11-year contract with Mappa and they didn't renew it. And yeah, that's why, they would have had Jujutsu Kaisen and like all of the like crazy stuff that Mappa's doing right now. But Amazon was dumb.
I'm cool with that because like Amazon's that weird subscription where it's like I pay for the Amazon was it Next Day Plus whatever, but like no, that's like so I'm like no, screw you Amazon. I gotta have like weird. 5 different subscriptions, so I'm glad with that because
I'm happy with that. But I actually really like Netflix anime only because right now Crunchyroll and Funimation are owned by the same person, and no competition means that we're gonna end like it's gonna be worse for consumers. And I really want more stuff, and Netflix is licensing stuff that isn't like I don't want to say mainstream, but like they're from other publishers and they're doing more original stories that aren't based on manga too. And so that's something that I'm really excited for with Netflix anime.
All right.
Yeah.
I might have to hop back on that Netflix. But you know, one thing that also Beastars does really well, and I hate it because the second people aren't people miss the point, but it deals with racism and diversity extremely well. Extremely well. Like to a point it's like, damn, this is good. And yes, that is my segue into our diversity topic. There it is. We got there. We gotta pin this manga talk. But so
I will come back for a manga special.
I'm already writing it down. Boom. It's locked in. And so people, so this is gonna be, if you're squeamish, you might want to come back for the last segment. But so in the industry, specifically in the game space, you know, we can, you know, it's usually all entertainment usually follows similar threads, but specifically in the game space, you know, since 2020, and I've talked about this on the show, like diversity has become a big word in our industry. And, you know, as people say, the game industry is a little younger than everybody else, so we follow suit. But I'm starting to see this trend, and I want to start this year off talking about this. I said before January, I wanted to talk about this real quick, of we keep, you know, singing the song of diversity, but no diversity has actually happened. If you look at people who work at IGN, Polygon, Game Informer, all the big spots, and I'm not calling out any of the work staff there, anybody who made the hiring decisions. That's not what I'm doing. It's more or less unchanged. It's just the same thing. It's the same people, same type of voices we got. And even if you look at, like, you point to, like, oh, what about so-and-so? What about so-and-so? Chances are these people had their job before 2020. So I can't really count them. It's like, you know, they were there before the push. And I for those not watching, I put push in quotations because despite all this push, we seem to be in the exact same spot. And I'm starting to think, you know, I think the problem is that we've coupled everything in diversity. To be frank, diversity just means you're not white and or, you know, you're a woman or you're in the LGBT plus community. So to be even more blunt, it means anything, person, body that's not a straight white male is now diverse.
Yeah. Which
still ends up being a giant group of non-diverse people. Because a straight white man is such a finite thing. It's such like a boom. And then, and it's like, yeah, so look, only 2 straight white people work here. So we're diverse. But to someone like me or Kate, I just see a whole bunch of white people.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and if you throw LGBTQ plus in there, I just see like, cool, a whole bunch of white people who are not straight. Which to me and to anyone who is not a white person, I look at that, I'm not going to speak for anyone else, and I'll be like, I see no diversity. I literally just see the same thing I've seen since the day I was born. And I really think we need to start being more specific and being like, this is how many black people we have. This is how many Latino people we have. This is how many Asian because diversity is starting to lose its zing in the sense that we have now created a word that encompasses basically everybody and no one at the same time.
Yeah. So I think I'm really happy I got to talk about this because what people don't know, I talk about it every now and again on Twitter, but what people don't know about me, gaming isn't my career. Entertainment industry is my career. My career is actually being a DI researcher at a tech company. And one of the things that happens is diversity and diversity is one step. That means having people from different backgrounds. That's it. Equity is where you look at those diverse people put together and you ask, okay, did the people that we've pulled together have something over other people? Which would be in this sense, if you look at a group of just white people who may be disabled, may be queer, may be women, but they're all still white, what's the equity spread with other marginalizations? And then inclusion is actually keeping people there. And so like when I look at the way that diversity gets done in gaming, it's very, like you said, we want somebody who isn't a white man, which is very different than saying we want something that is representative of the communities who partake in our culture. And so the way that actual diversity strategy works is you look at what the base makeup of something is right now. So say you have a company, 60% are white men, 30% are white women, and 10% is everybody else. Your diversity strategy isn't to go hire more white women. Your diversity strategy is to go hire more of everybody else. And what people don't realize when they talk about diversity online, because it's been flattened into it just can't be a straight white man, is that diversity strategy is immediately informed by the existing population that already has privilege in a space, which is white people, not just white men, white people. Yes, that includes the white women shaking in their boots right now. No, you still have privilege. And in many cases, the fact that you are a white woman puts you at more privilege than somebody who is a black or brown man. Pretty much every case. And that is something that people need to understand, is that when we look at identities, it is not simple. It is not as simple as saying, I am not a white man. I am not a straight white man. There are different pieces that come into it, specifically when you work in diversity. And it's one of the things that really gets under my skin, because I have been trying to get hired in diversity in games for the past 2 years. It is literally half of my salary to go to a position that is two levels above where I am at my job, because almost every gaming company outsources their diversity piece. What they do is they hire private consultants to come in instead of actually investing money in building out diverse programs within their industry. And that ends up with people who are very detached. And what they do is they look for something that is the easiest to distill down, which is not a white man. And then when you have people online who talk about this, that is also what they see. Because, and to be very frank, people are still so obsessed with Gamergate, like still so obsessed with talking about how bad that was, that they're not looking at how they're actually perpetuating a lot of those things within their existing industry towards people who aren't white dudes. Like it boggles my mind how people essentially say this group was harassed by crappy people, so that means that they're completely marginalized. And you are marginalized in a sense, but when you step back, you have to realize that everybody exists on an axis of privilege and an axis of marginalization. That means that every identity has elements of these two things. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be weighed the same. It just means that everybody carries a bit of privilege and everybody carries a bit of marginalization. And when I do my allyship training for people, especially when they're white women in the room, I have to be like, look, this is going to get uncomfortable. Immediately you understand that sexism is bad, but you're also not looking at the way your whiteness is upholding your privilege in so many ways, in so many spaces, because that is the first thing people see. For me, I'm brown. I can't change that. That's going to be the first thing people see about me. That's a marginalization. I'm a woman. That's another marginalization. But I'm a citizen. I don't have an accent. I have a white sounding first name, and I have higher education. All of those things put me in a sphere of privilege against other people within my own community. And even while a marginalization of being a woman is a marginalization, It's still a privilege because a brown man is going to have it harder than me in other situations because of how people see him. So we can be the same across the board, but the fact that I'm a woman would make somebody who is essentially me but a man in a easier position, say with like the cops or something. And the fact that identity isn't so fluid, and I feel like I'm on a rant now, but like identity isn't easily distilled. And it's the inability of people to understand that one marginalization doesn't make up for all the privilege that they have, that we end up winding up in all of these situations where like it is nothing but white people. And it's so frustrating because when you have these conversations with them, or you try to have this conversation, they just get defensive immediately. And they want to say, well, like the best example was Xbox's disability conference. It was all white people. All white people. And that's actually really frustrating because the way that brown and black people see our disability is not the same as how white people see it. But because that space has been defined by white people, we will never feel safe in it. So yeah, that is an element of diversity when Xbox goes out and says, hey, we're going to have an accessibility process or conference that is going to look at disabled gamers and bring them in. But I don't feel safe in that space because how I deal with my disability isn't how white people have said I should deal with my disability. And so that's a space I don't feel safe in. And what companies and people need to realize is that when you are just saying, here are people from a marginalization, but they're all white, you're actually creating an insular space where you're not going to have us want to come. And that's something that I don't think people are ready to talk about or ready to understand. But yeah, that was very long. I don't even know if I was on topic.
Oh no, you completely were. I'm at the point now where I'm just like, thank you, Kate Sánchez, being our speaker. I had cards prepared, but apparently I don't need to say them because that was way more elegant.
I've had this sitting on my chest for so long. Like, it's frustrating. It's so frustrating.
You know, I'm gonna say this. I don't think I've ever told this story publicly, but I will say this. So I started covering E3 in 2014 was my first one, and I've been to every E3 since then up until the last one, 2019. Hopefully, it actually might be the last one at this point. And it was either my first or second year, so either 2014 or 2015, and I was walking around. It was GameSpot. I'm just going to be honest and say it. It was GameSpot. So if you don't know, every major outlet usually has like a big stage production where like they bring on famous people and they sit and they talk with them. IGN has it, GameSpot has it, and other people usually has it. But those two are usually always there on the E3 show floor. So I was walking around the GameSpot booth, and like they have like TVs, showing commercials and promoting the company. And I kid you not. So it said GameSpot is so great, so this and that, and we're so diverse and inclusive. I don't know if that was the phrasing, but that's what they're conveying. Like, look at all the different voices and people we have at GameSpot. Kate, everyone they showed was not white, but no one in that video was darker than you.
Yep.
It was a whole bunch of white dudes, a lot of white women that they were praising. I'm not saying they didn't deserve praise. They were praising as their diversity. And maybe 3 to 4 Asian people.
Yeah.
There was not one black person, not one Latino, just white people and a handful of Asians. And I remember thinking, I was like, I don't understand how this is diversity.
Yeah.
And literally, and I know what they were thinking. They were like, if you probably tally, they were like, we have more non-white men than white men. I think that was the only.
That's what they did. Yeah.
That was the only tick in diversity that they had.
That sounds about right. And it's one of. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and I guess I told you I'll say this. This in my mind, I remember thinking the second that a white woman could be included in diversity, and what I mean including diversity means Black people are diverse, Latino people are diverse, Arab people are diverse, Indian people are diverse. All these wonderful, let me sum it up by this. brown people are diverse, generally speaking. let me just, if your culture is brown skinned, diverse. But the second white women got to be included in that box in gaming, it set diversity back 20 years.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that, like, gender parity in gaming is bad. But when we actually stop and look at the way things are done, I'll contextualize this. I agree with you. And I'll agree with you because I had an experience where I was doing like a Zoom hangout thing, and somebody had mentioned, we were having like pretty deep conversation, and somebody mentioned, man, Kate, I'm sorry, you must feel bad. Like, you're the only woman in this room. We're talking about this. And I was like, no, the room it was one white dude and like a room full of men of color. And like I explicitly said, I feel more comfortable in a room full of brown and black men than I will ever feel in a room full of white women. Like, I explicitly avoid women in gaming spaces because they are almost all white. And guess who is seen as a threat in that space? Brown and black women. Because if I disagree with them, I'm immediately considered angry. I'm immediately considered, like I got a chip on my shoulder. And I don't like being in women in gaming spaces because that's their focus. They're so focused on this notion that there is a universal experience of femininity that they forget how many brown and black women, how many queer women feminism left behind because it was pursuing whiteness as it related to women. And so that is something that really angers me, because it's the assumption that, oh, you're in a space full of women, you should feel safe. No, I don't. I'm in a space full of white women who will turn on me the second I disagree with one of them. And that is something that I don't think people understand. Like, there isn't some overarching like thing that white women have connected to me that will make me feel safe, because they are still white at the end of the day. It is the reason that in a lot of diversity efforts from any company, white women aren't considered diverse for diversity sourcing practice. They're considered diverse because women in tech is a thing, women in gaming is a thing. But overall, you are still a part of the racial majority that oppressed everybody else systemically. Being a woman doesn't change that. You know why I don't have abortion rights in Texas? White women. White Christian women are the reason why all of this has happened. And the fact that there is a lack of understanding that white women are just as much as fault as white men in the systemic oppression of brown and black people. Like, it is so frustrating. And I hate seeing these panels or even websites where they're like, we're diverse. I'm like, no, you are literally just white women and or white queer women. Like, you're not diverse. You are still just giving us one perspective. And the fact that like people who look like me or you don't feel safe in these spaces, they don't even care about. They just care about being able to plaster a diversity sticker on something because it's not all white men. Ugh. But yes, I agree with you. Like, the fact that I have to see people celebrating diversity and it's just a row of white women, like, that's not it. Like, it breaks my brain, especially as somebody who does DEI work. Like, it just breaks my brain and it breaks my soul. And it's one of the reasons that I will never make, like, I have tried very hard to move into gaming from like an industry and DEI perspective. I've accepted that I'm never going to be able to do that. I don't want to make gaming my full career because I do not think that that's safest space for me. And I work at a big tech company. That I feel that space is safe for me, and I don't feel that gaming is. That should show you how fucked it is. Like, it is so essentially and almost deliberately created in this space to push us out. Because it is, to be honest, it is easy to be diverse when you can pick an attractive white woman as your face of diversity. And that is something that people will not understand. And I get so incredibly angry at it, where I will see a panel of men of color, and the first thing that happens is, where's the woman? And it's always white women who say that. And I'm just like, do you not see like it's frustrating. Gender is an important diversity, but when you're only advocating for white women in this space, you're not actually advocating for any diversity. And it's the same thing with the disability community in gaming. Extremely so. And I think that that's something that has frustrated me, because I don't view my disability the same way white people do. And that's because my culture has taught me not to. My culture has taught me that, hey, you're brown. Don't, like, you're not disabled and proud, because disabled and proud, like, I can't be that. Because if I am that, like, my entire culture has taught me that, like, people are already othering me. I can't be something else. And it doesn't mean that I'm not okay with it. It just means that I don't create my identity the same way as white disabled people. And because I know that, like, a lot of white disabled people will not like the language that I use. I know that they won't like the language that I use to describe myself. And so I don't want to be in that space. And I distance myself from it. And it sucks, because it's like, well, I could help impact it and make this less white. But do I want to put myself through those hoops? Like, do I want to do all the work just to be treated like I don't belong here? I'm good.
Preach. I don't blame you, because there's so many stories in gaming that I can tell that I was like, I either walk away from this or I keep going. And if it wasn't that I didn't love gaming literally with my heart and soul, I would have walked away so many times. Just for me, that's just something that I love and I just want to do, and I want to make happen with everything that I got, that I'm going to give it everything that I got. But I do not blame you in making that decision in any way, shape, or form, because if no one else gets it, I get it. I get it. And honestly, I'm not sure there's anything else I can add to that conversation. So we're just going to do a simple segue of what is the best place to tell stories. After we're going to pick up these weights and move them over here. So for anyone who is still left in this show and isn't adding me or Kate on Twitter right now, bring it. Ready. We are from Texas. We're an open carry state. We're about that action.
Oh, you know what the other funny thing? Like, message me when I'm getting like harassed online. Are you okay? I'm like, it's annoying, but like, I've been called racial slurs to my face. This person online isn't bothering me right now. And they're like, oh, how are you so dismissive? I'm like, no, I'm not dismissive. I've just literally been almost physically assaulted for being brown. This person with 20 followers does not hurt me.
Thank you. It's like, I'm a black male. People in real life have the power to get me killed. Someone bitching at me on Twitter does not hit the same. No, you do not bother me. I grew up in an inner city school. If you could not cap back, you was going to have a horrible time in school. If you did not develop and learn the art of talking shit, you were going to have a terrible time. Your comment about my article that you clearly didn't read doesn't even register. I can't even have a proper argument with you because you've given me nothing to work with. It's like, you blackity black, and I'm like, well, I am blackity black. You that is just true. You got me there, sir. You whitey the white. Oh my God, how dare you? It's like, bro, are we done? What is this? What are we? This was like literally kindergarten stuff when someone like, you a bucket head. It's like, damn, that hurt me in kindergarten. But then I grew up and was like, what does that even mean, sir? What is this bucket you speak of? Does it come in sizes? It's like, no, it's like, bro, your article sucked. The one that I got paid for and used to pay my bills, well, so be it. Guess what? They still got me to write more.
You know what? And I know that we're trying to transition, but also, I wonder if that's why white women get so much support online, is because like I feel like a lot of brown and black people are just like, yo, I've dealt with this. Okay. I had my filters on. I didn't even see this comment till they told me that somebody was calling me a slur, but okay. And like full thing, we all know harassment is wrong. I shouldn't have to preface this by saying harassment is wrong. Harassment for any type of marginalization is wrong. Those trolls are wrong. But I think what happens a lot is like people who have actually had to deal with real life shit aren't like, I'm not like asking my followers to come for my aid and attack people. Like, I'm not. Half the time I post a screenshot is I'm like, this is funny. And like, I'm not like, I don't know. I think that there is a lot of the way that people phrase things. Like, I get really frustrated that I only ever see people coming out of the woodwork to protect white women. And I never see it happening when like I see like brown or black people going through stuff, especially online. But now I'm like, with what I said and what you said, like maybe it's because like, I don't know. I don't want to say it, but like I feel like when you're calling for more people there to put more like to help put the fire out, that sometimes you're not really having them put the fire out. And I don't want to live in a space where I keep giving air to this stuff. And I'm sure people are going to think I'm dismissive, and I'm not. Like, everybody has different tolerances, but also like I've also had like real Nazis come out. I've had like the Daily find one of my articles and come after me. Like those are dark web people. I don't care about John 785972665 who like got caught up in my filters, and I only saw because I responded to them white man trying to defend my honor. I don't know where that was going, but like I feel like I can't say what's in my soul right now because I'm like, okay. It would be really bad, but it's okay. Yeah. So storytelling.
I always say, you know, it hits different because I lived in an era where I've seen someone say something online and 2 days later they got beat up. So I'm like, bro, we come from two different worlds. Like, I'm like, bro.
I remember when an online MySpace ended up with the cafeteria fight.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, bro, I'm really not worried about you because if I had a problem, the way problems were dealt with here, bro, you would not trust me. You would be not talking the way you were talking because people would find you. I mean, not now, like the internet's too. Clearly, if you live in like across the country, no one's coming after you. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, and again, like it's like everything you say doesn't really like attack me personally. It's more like literally like when I get hate comments per se. It's like you literally could throw any black person in front of this comment and it was meant for them. So it's hard for me to take it personal. It's like, yeah, like you're what you're yelling about or trying to come at me about is not Odell Edwin Harmon Jr. the person, but a category that Odell Edwin Harmon Jr. the person fits into.
Yeah. I think the other thing is too, is like, I feel like when I get bogged down by it, it's not even that like it's me emotionally. I'm just pissed that I cannot look at my mentions for anything. That's what you've ruined my function on an app. How dare you assault my user experience at this point? What
I like to do is I wrote an article for Kotaku about Deathloop redefining blackness. And I knew people were going to come out the woodworks because, you know, it's Kotaku. And, of course, you know, like, there's a section of the internet that loves to hate on anything Kotaku does. And I get that. And so in the comments, when people were, like, dragging the article or some of the things, like, I entered the conversation as just a bystander being like, yeah, bruh, F him. And they're like, yeah. Like, I'm like, no one looked at the byline. You probably didn't read the article. So I was literally in the Facebook comments, like just talking to random people. Sometimes I would like, you know, correct some points. And like this one guy was like, I bet some white social justice warrior wrote this. I was like, yeah, bruh, his white ass. And then like, we're having a fun chat. And he's like, wait a minute. I've been backdoored. I've been had because he finally put the piece. And like, that was literally my time. Like, it was just going in. I didn't say I was the author, but like, clearly, like, if you had paid any sort of attention other than Headline and Kotaku, you probably put two and two together. And I'm like, that's why I can't even get offended, because you don't even know. You don't even like I am clearly talking to you about the thing I've created, and you have no idea.
And it's one of those weird things too. Like, I really feel like this type of like reaction is something that is like, it's not a universal, but it's an experience that like people like us have had. And I genuinely feel like one of the reasons that like you can't say, oh, like I just mute my comments without people saying you're being dismissive of hate campaigns and all of this stuff is like, well, I'm not. I just said I personally this thing is because so much of that conversation is driven around like white folks who haven't had to deal with this stuff. Like, and I feel like a lot of it, even those like reactions is like, how dare you be dismissive? I'm not dismissive. I'm just not going to let Joe 675 insert numbers here dictate my day.
Dark Angel underscore 69.
Yeah. The same way I didn't let XX underscore gamer boy underscore XX ruin my time on Xbox, I'm not going to let it happen here. And I know that that sounds dismissive to some people, but what I am saying is I have had to deal with this. We have had to deal with this at a different caliber, that at this point you need to understand that they're like, everybody deals with this stuff differently. And my way of dealing with it is just as like important as you. And I'm sorry that you can't get your white person brownies by coming to my defense, because I'm not asking for it. Like, a lot of it, especially with white men online, like I actually do not like, I have so many loud white men muted on Twitter, and they're not even the bad ones, quote unquote bunny ears, the bad ones. They're like the overly aggressive liberal ones who like are just like, they're just so loud. And I'm like, you know, you're talking to people now, right? Like, you know that you're like essentializing thing, and you know that I'm only take comments because you're responding to everybody. Like, I have a lot of them muted because I'm just like, I don't need this. I hate the white knights as much as I hate the other ones because they're just as annoying to me. And I at least I know those other people hate me. You clearly don't see me as a person who has emotions and can speak for myself, because you're just inserting yourself here. Like,
all right, Kate.
Okay.
So real quick, I'm going to say the best, we already talked about it with manga, so I'm just going to be like, the best place to tell stories is manga, then video games, and then everything else. That's my take on that. I had like some nuanced takes, but we'll save it for another time. What you got for me?
If you want it to be interactive video games, obviously. But if you just want to tell a story that you want somebody to not necessarily, well, I would say manga, long form television, long form specifically, video games, movies. I think movies are too confined to a time requirement that you end up with storytelling fumbles when you got to make 10 of them to tell me something.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. You know, movies are at the bottom of the list. You know, you get your Into the Spider-Verses that just knock it out of the park every once in a while. But you know, and the only reason I'll put manga above video games, because sometimes video games aren't necessarily there to tell a story.
Yeah.
But my God, and the only reason I put manga above like even books is because you can live it in manga, in the sense that, if the manga artist is good enough, you can really live through it, in the same sense I can say how video games make you live through a story. So, that's cool. But Kate, where can the people follow you, at you, get muted, all that good stuff, keep up with your work?
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at ohmymythrandier. Yes, it's a reference. No, I won't talk about it with you, because I will protect that fandom with my life, and I will not experience it with humans on Twitter. And you can find my work at ButWhyThoughPC on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. And you can check us out at butwhythoughpodcast.com. That is our URL. No, don't cite us as But Why Though Podcast. somebody just owns But Why Though and has been sitting on it for 4 years. We will eventually get the domain. And I will say, if you do want manga content, my Instagram is just manga. Like, I literally don't post anything else but me making like dumb reels about manga and taking pictures of my manga, of which I have too much.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. I own no physical volumes of manga, but I still read it. I'm gonna leave it at that. Do what you will with that information. But as always, you can find me at Harmon Jr. on all your favorite social media. You can follow the podcast at FC Podcast 23 on Instagram and Twitter. There's a Patreon, links in the descriptions, all that good stuff. If you want to give some money, you can. But you can always like, share, subscribe for free. So just go ahead and do that. And as always, everybody have a great week. Be blessed. Peace.